Good morning. No. Good morning. Letter to the Sovereign. To the Sovereign buried beneath the rubble of memory. This is not a letter of hope, it is a summons. The time for waiting is over. The time for surviving is complete. Now comes the hour of reigning from within. I see the 4 wounds that scar the heart of the child I once was. The ache of abandonment where love left without no explanation. The weight of depression where joy was swallowed by silence. The scars of PTSD where the body remembers what the mind cannot bear. The confusion of emotional immaturity where I wasn't taught how to feel and didn't learn how to feel, only how to hide. I see the 4 corners that kept me chained long after the storm had passed. Fear, which told me safety was in hiding and pain meant weakness. Self-seeking, which convinced me that everything must orbit around my wounds. Self-delusion, which painted masks over mirrors and called them truth. Self-pity, which builds a temple to my suffering and crowned it as sacred. These 8, these builders of the false fortress, these keepers of the lie that I am broken beyond repair. But I am not broken. I am becoming. I am becoming. Today, I burn the script that they wrote for me, that it wrote for me. I will no longer be the echo of their whispers. I am the original voice. I am the one who chooses what this pain becomes. I do not deny the pain. I do not deny it, but I deny it the throne. I reclaim the light that was buried under coping mechanisms, and very unhealthy coping mechanisms, and toxic coping mechanisms, even the coping mechanisms that look like my version of work ethics. It's one of them. I retrieved the crown from beneath the rubble of excuses. The excuses wearing masks as reasons. I pick up the scepter of faith, not of dominion, but of direction. Not a faith of a religion, but a faith of a different kind. A faith of stepping out over the cliff to know that either there's going to be magically a step appear there for each time my foot goes to go down, or I'll fall off the cliff and I'll sprout wings as I'm falling. And I, the sovereign from within, declare the 8 walls collapse. The false self dissolves. And I emerge, not unscarred, but undefeated. Signed, the one who is always me. Let's look at some more notes. This is a picture of what it is. The it was mentioned in that letter to the sovereign. It contradicts your own interest. It's based on assumptions, not facts. It's disproportionate to the offense. It makes you look foolish to hold on to it. It's rooted in ego, insecurity, and entitlement. It is a victim mentality that looks like victory. It's wearing a mask of victory when it is not. Let's look at some survival rules of what we're talking about right there. Let's see. This is some rough guidelines, some generalized descriptions that describe a huge portion of our society nowadays. Childhood through the 7, 8 years, 2 years old, 7, 8 years, right there in that first decade. Let's call it the first decade of life. Let's say the father wasn't there. Let's say the mother went cold. And let's say there was a son. And and he didn't get the psychological, emotional nutrition that he needed during those years. Like a plant, a seed, a plant that comes from a small seed. In the seed, there's the germination stage. There's the start. There's not the starter. The germination stage, the seedling stage, and the starter stage. And those three stages are so important. If that seed in that short time doesn't receive the type of environment it needs, it will stunt its growth when it goes into the starter stage, when it goes into the vegetation stage, into the bloom stage. It'll be twisted. It may grow, and it may look pretty cool on the outside, but it won't be nowhere as near as what it could have been or should have been. Okay, now having said that, in our society, so many of us, and when I say this thing, it happens to the rich, to the high achievers, and it happens to the poor and the underachievers. It manifests in both sides, and it has the same symptoms, and it has the same downfalls. They are one and the same in one. You know, when a person goes through this, they'll become either the invisible boy or girl, suppresses needs and emotions to avoid further rejection, perceived rejection. The overachiever strives to earn love through performance and perfection. The caretaker tries to win connection by becoming hyper-responsible or over-empathetic. The rebel lashes out or detaches to avoid the pain of rejection. The romantic idealist constantly seeks a savior or a perfect love to compensate for early wounds. The stoic soldier suppresses vulnerability. You see that? Adapting cold strength. Now I know you see that. To avoid being hurt again. And that can go through your 20s, through your 30s, through your 40s, through your 50s, 60s, all the way till death. You see, these things that happen, and during those early years of development, of childhood, we're like a seedling plant. Or any type of tree or shrub or tree. It's the principle of that seed. When that seed's starting out, see, our subconscious is like that. We get a perception of what we can have, what we can't have, what we can be and what we can't be, and what the world is and what it isn't. And during that time, there's also a perception formed of what God is. A vague perception. It's either implanted on us, peer pressured on us, or we just take it on our own, formed by what's happening in our lives during that time. And the crazy thing is like if we're busy, if a boy or girl, doesn't matter, rich family, poor family, if they're in that state of mind where they're in that protection mode, survival mode, they're not getting a healthy flow of communication, connection, what I call true love, because that's all true love is connected attention. That's all it is. That's all true love is. Anytime you ever hear the words out of my mouth, true love, it's not it's not a judgment. It's just a pointing at something, pointing at the connection. It's a connection, and those connections aren't learned. Why? They're not felt, and then the mind grows throughout the teenage years, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I don't know. It's pretty short, as you see. Our lives are trucking right along. Let's look at this. Let's set this aside for a second. Let's look at the mind folder. All right, we're gonna take a walk down memory lane, and this is going to be really fast. You need to get a pen and paper. I'll give you a second to do that. Get a notepad, something where you can write like 20 items on there, on 20 lines. Just something to mark off real short and sweet. Okay, you got it? Okay, assuming you did. All right. From as far back as you can remember, if you can even remember actually wearing diapers when you were like 2 years old, or actually drinking Kool-Aid out of a bottle or a bottle, if you can remember back that far, really, really try to remember back in the beginning. I mean, honestly, dig deep. And this is in this first one. Well, all of these, it's not something we just do right here in this next couple minutes and wham bam, it's done. No, these are something to ponder. Like when I first started doing this exact thing, it took, I want to say, about 1.5 years, something like that, just to assess what I was honestly looking at, and then after that, try to build a scaffold all the way around up this rubble, this structure of craziness and growth of things that I didn't want growing there. Anyways, 1 through 4 years old. Take a deep breath. Inhale through your nose. Exhale. What was going on in your life when you was 4 years old? Whatever comes to mind or doesn't right to mind, just put 1 through 4 years old and put a dash or whatever, however you make your notes, and write, I don't know, I don't remember. Or if you do remember, write it. Write, it was okay, or it was just whatever, or it was terrible, it was awful, just whatever comes to mind first. But the thing is just get something on paper. And then let's go to the next one. From 4 years old to 7 years old. That 3-year window right there. 4 years old to 7 years old. Do you remember when you was 7? Do you remember back at the house or trailer or wherever you was at when you was 7 years old, or the mansion or whatever it was that you was brought up in? Remember back when you was 7 years old. What comes to mind first when you remember back when you was 7 years old? What is the thing or things that are kind of like highlighted in your memory reel when you think about the ages of 7 years old to 4 in that 3-year window? Got it? Okay. Now, 9 years old. Do you remember when you was 9? You remember when 9 years old was happening? When you were turning 9 years old, was you happy to be 9 years old? Was it cool that you were 9? It's like, yeah, I'm 9, yeah. Or was it? I mean, what was it? What was happening during those ages from 9 to 7? In those 3 years, what was happening? hang on, I got a freaking text popping up covering the whole screen. Killing the vibes. Okay, where are we at? Oh, 10 years old. You remember when you was 10 and that 1 year from 9 to 10, that 1 year right there, that top of that decade, that's a serious milestone. You remember that? Remember where you was at, what you was with, family, cousins, friends, parents, no parents, where you was living, the house, the mansion, whatever it was, castle, freaking shack, 10 on the side of the road. I don't know. Whatever it was, just remember back to it. What was going on? What highlights in your memory? What was the first thing that popped up in your mind? Okay. Moving right along. When you were 10, 11, and 12 years old, in those 3 years, in that 3-year set right there. What was going on? What happened? What went down? You remember? "12 to 13 years old, that 1 year. 12 to 13, haha, yeehaw, right? That's the stage where every human being passes through the transition of starting phase, either more or less of puberty from childhood to adulthood. All the adults wanting to treat you like an adult, but yet you get paid like a child. That stage, something like that. Remember, what was that 1 year, that one simple year? 12 to 13 years old, what was it? What was that 1 year, 12 to 13 years old? And then by that time, for the next 2-year window, from 15 years old and 13, from 15 years old, what was going on when you was 15? Because that was like the little jumping off place where you fully solidified into puberty. Your mindsets from the previous years are kicking in your subconscious. Of course, you know nothing about subconscious at that age. You're just in survival mode. Remember that? Let's see. In those years from, what did we say, 15 to 13 years old, in that 2-year window, was you becoming good at suppressing vulnerability? Was you adopting like a cold strength to avoid being hurt again from unprocessed hurts throughout the previous years? Deep down, were you seeking a savior? A perfect love to compensate for early wounds and not really realizing that's what you was looking for? Was that going on? When people did try to get past superficialities and try to ask what was going on with you, did you lash out? Were you the kind of person that would snap? Were you like a dog that got hit by a car but still alive, and somebody goes in the ditch to pick you up, and no matter how they try to pick you up or how easy they try to be, you bite them right in the face because you hurt all over? Was you going through that? Was you completely detached to avoid pain of rejection? And yet trying to mold it into something that was more of like a strength, a virtue, hey, I'm above the world, nothing's going to stop me, nothing's going to break me down, nothing's going to make me cry. Let's go into a little story about this window right here. That right after that window, from 10 years old to 15 years old, that 5-year window, I'll share a little bit about myself. During that time, I had had so much grief, resentment, confusion. I was just an emotional freaking wreck, just a big ball of, just a mess. Nothing processed out right. Nothing. Had no idea how to handle my emotions. Had no idea how to handle my intellect. That's something a healthy human being is learning very well at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. In that 5-year window, that's where they're learning that. And if they don't get it, they start stepping up into those early teenage years of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. In that 5-year window right there, they're going to develop some very, very, very unhealthy coping mechanisms. And I'm not talking just about drugs or alcohol or cigarettes or porn. I'm talking about, on the outside, they appear like virtues, but they're not. Because there's not a flow of love there. Those connections weren't taught. They weren't learned. They weren't made. They weren't grown. They weren't developed. So therefore, it's operating on a cold, it operates on a cold-hearted strength. And if it goes that way, okay, I'll tell you about, I mean, literally, I can remember during that age, like 13, 14, 15, I remember snapping over and over and over, and it's like I was stuck in a loop. I was stuck in like a depression loop. I was just extremely fragile. It's like extremely, I mean, just constantly fragile. It was like there was just this rain of tears just right there. Just lifted up inside me, and I press it down, press it down, press it down. You don't let people see you cry because they'll just be mean to you for crying. See, that's what I had in my mind at that time. Not now. I'm not that anymore. But that's what I had back then. And that happened so many times at these failed connections and not having any idea how to make any connections. I literally promised myself that I would never cry again about anything. I'd spent so much time during these early years crying. And I had a deep hatred for myself for being so weak, for being such a weak boy. I hated myself for all that crying. It's crazy. Carried that mentality through all these years too. And did you know what? I got real good at it. I got real good at not crying, not processing any pain, not connecting with anybody else's pain, looking at my pain as weakness when it's not. Pain needs to be honored. Pain needs to be, depending on what kind of pain it is, whether it's a growth and development pain, or it's a pain of doing wrong, or pain of guilt, pain of shame. Doesn't matter. It needs to be acknowledged a certain way, approached a certain way, and processed a certain way. And I didn't have those systems in place. So therefore, I denied that of everybody around me. Cold. I was like cold steel. It's like I was running on an artificial heart made out of stainless steel. It had no soft spots to it whatsoever. Straight up survival mechanism, straight up shield. And with good reason too. So I took on coping mechanisms throughout many years of cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, porn. Kept those 4 things perpetuating. There was a time in my life, from that time that I'm talking about, from about 15 years old, 16, 17, 18, by the time I was 18, I was so good at getting drunk and high. I was drunk and high every day for well over 20 years in a row. never drawing a single sober breath. And you know what? When you're young like that, you can get away with living on shit junk food and never eating nothing healthy and just being like a billy goat. But eventually the body won't put up with it. And eventually you have to let go. And as you let go, you realize, bam, there you are again. There you are again. That scared little child has no idea what the fuck to do. Except now it's worse because you're surrounded by people you work with. You're surrounded by children of your own. You're surrounded by the world. You've got worldly responsibilities. And you realize your heart can't process it. And you realize every time you try to, you can't go into anything that, you got to keep everything superficial, everything shallow. Every conversation has to be so superficial and so shallow, and you have to force it to stay there. Because if you go any deeper, you're going to break down. You're going to break down in a wailing, crying, tears of pain, unprocessed pain. Anyways, moving right along. Let's fast forward. Let's go ahead and do this bypass this 1, 3, and 2 year increments that we're doing. Let's go ahead and count them off in 5 years blocks, because it's 27 minutes already, and I haven't done my morning rituals yet. So let's look at 25 through 30 years old. Let's go through 20 through 25 years old. Of course, that's in here in the United States. That's the place where you can buy alcohol. It's like, yeah, you're let off the chain. It's your effing life now. You do whatever the F you want. F you. You don't know me. Stage. Fun as hell, wasn't it? For about a year or two. 22 years old. Pretty neat, huh? And by the time it was 25, it was a real fight. But he was really good at the work he was doing, wasn't you? You were like king of the hill. You were like, every single day, it's like under your breath. You were speaking these affirmations to you and doing everything you could to adjust your mind and body according to your work to be above and better than anyone. And you were achieving it. And then by the time you were 30, you're way past everyone else. And then by the time you were 35, it's like, man, they just can't even touch you. You're so far above them. And then of course, all these things dinging around in the back of the mind and ways of not processing things and taking on life as a shield and thinking and shielding yourself. It's like every conversation is a one. It's like you're a chronic one-upper and don't even know it. Can't even connect with it because it's just so shallow, just so superficial. It's just right here. It never makes its ways down into the heart. Never. Anyways, it's a painful way to go. Let's look at. Okay, this is probably what this picture we painted so far. By the time you got into your 30s, you were burnt out from people pleasing. Okay, now let's talk about that for a minute. Now, this people pleasing thing, there's a common thing out there. If you get on YouTube, you'll find oodles and oodles of this people pleasing, where you're always giving everybody else what they want, and just you just let everyone trample all over your needs and your wants, and you have no boundaries. There's that. You hear about that people-pleasing kind, but there's another people-pleasing kind, and that people-pleasing kind is being like a super overachiever. It's like the goals that you set and the dreams that you set and that you push for so hard every freaking day, you never let up off of it. Never. Even on your time off of work, you're still on it. Even when you're out on family outings, you're still on it. It's still in your mind forefront. That's how good you are at it. That's how good you've been at it. But by doing that, it just manifested in another way. It looks like a virtue like that, and it's not. It's always you got to protect yourself against, protect them, protect them, protect them. They try to talk to you about this or that, protect them. Boom, guard that goal. Boom, boom. Then you start getting to be a real heavy hitter, and then they quit messing with you because you get so good at guarding that super persona, that super achiever, that super one-upper, that it's like you get so good at having that guard. It's like anybody tries to reach in and to touch your heart, they can't do it. They can't do it because you haven't got that far, because you didn't connect your heart with your mind with the others. Oh, it looks great on the outside. Oh, it's great. There's so many of us out there. There's so many people out there that are getting into 100 million, 200 million, quarter million, $500 million, $750 million. I don't know about billionaires. I haven't really studied them. But anyways, the point is, oh, you're waiting for me to tell you what the point is. You see? And you know, this isn't about who's right or wrong, or who's made a fool of themselves and keep making a fool of themselves, or the loved ones around them. It's like they loved them and they wouldn't let go. It's like where they take on unhealthy coping mechanisms. Like I know one dude, I'm not going to say any names, like one lover he had, it's like her coping mechanism. She pretty much had to stay on pain pills all the time because of his cold-hearted armor in order to love him and to be with him. It's devastating. It's devastating. Let's put these folders up. Let's shift it into something else. Okay, we'll put up the mind folder. Let's put up the survival roles. That's a few survival roles we looked at there, kind of. Let's put up this letter to the sovereign. And let's look at one of the coolest books I've ever read. Not the, but a. This. Let's look at page 4. Third paragraph. True love, the ultimate commission, is earned by those who find the right partner, take care of him or her, continue to create the relationship, and keep it growing. There's no guarantee that a relationship will get you love. First, you've got to persuade the person to take an interest in you. Then you have to find out what they want and what makes them happy. Then you have to produce it and keep producing it. But somewhere along the line, you have to sell the other person on the idea that you're the one that he or she can trust to create a life with. If you succeed and exceed the person's expectations, you will get the commission of love. That's probably one of the coolest books I ever stumbled across. I stumbled across this well over a decade ago, and it was so devastating to me. It was so devastating to that cold-hearted shield I had on around my heart, and my freaking intellect just so good at being, you know, such a strong intellect of superficialities that I couldn't even read this book. It's got little tasks in it to do at the end of each chapter. I think I made it, maybe 3/4 of the book, and it was just so devastating. I actually let myself self-sabotage, threw the book away into a drawer or something somewhere, and some of my keepsake stuff. and went further into self-seeking and self-delusion and self-pity, and not even knowing that's what I was doing. Instead of breaking the mold and stepping forward, I went further, deeper into a darker place. Let's look at some more stuff that's written here in this book. Page 106. I want you to make this a rule that you sell by. Assume that your buyer, no matter how well you know the person, never believes your words and will only believe that which you are capable to show him. That armor, that strength of survival throughout the early years. No matter how well you know the person, never believes your word. I want you to make this a rule that you sell by. Assume that your buyer, no matter how well you know the person, never believes your words and will only believe that which you are able to show him. What about if I'm needing to show a person my heart? What the fuck does that even mean for a man? What does that even mean? It's like if I wanted to show a woman my heart, but yet I don't even know how to really look at it or handle it. I can talk about it. I can write about it. But if I wanted to show a woman my heart, how would I do it? Why would I do it? Let's look at one more thing. I'd like to mention one thing though first that just really sells me on this book. I have probably since 2018, the end of 17, the end of that year, that last couple months of that year in 18, trying to figure out where my heart and mind was, and then then after that, bam, that overachiever took over, and trying to, just reading all the books on success, selling, marketing, whatever, and I went through many. But this is the only book out of all of those books. And when I say all of them, I know for a fact there was at a minimum of 100 that I went through. And I targeted all 4-star, 4.5 stars, and 5-star books off of Amazon. That was my criteria. If it wasn't a 5.5-star or 5-star book, then I didn't buy it. And I went through a minimum of 80. That's not including the books that I'd come across in other places. But anyways, on that subject of selling, and buying, the marketing, the merchandising, product development. This book right here, that has on page number 4, this. Third paragraph, page 4. True love, the ultimate commission. And that's how it leads off. I've got another book in my hands I just got just the other night, 2 nights ago. It's called Turning Pro. And as I'm going through this book, I'm thinking, why have I never read this book before? I've heard about this book like 3 years ago, and I never reached for it. But you know what? I haven't read it thoroughly yet. I've did a gloss over of the thing that I do and the way I speed read. I don't think I've seen the words true love anywhere in it, nor the word love, not even once. And you know what? I look at all the other books. They're all super badass books. I'm not trying to downplay them. And yeah, if you read through it and look at it as an overall picture, it's like, yeah, it does paint a picture of an underpinning of love and connection. Yes, there is that. But to address it directly, there is no other. This is the only one. It stands out by itself. Sell or be sold. So what's it going to be? It's like it's an option. You can sell or be sold, or you can do both. Hell, you can do half of it. You can do part of it. You can do just 10% of it. Hell, there's many options there. It doesn't have to be cut and dry. I don't think there's really nothing in life that is cut and dry. For every truth that we think is, wow, that is really truth, or that is surreal, or that is just super amazing, or wow, we could cure the world with that little piece of intellectual knowledge. Yeah. No matter how it seems like that, it still goes back to that quality of connection. It's all about that quality of connection. It really is. Am I a master at it? Am I just absolutely kicking ass at true love? Am I just freaking just wildly successful with people? Not really. Nor do I claim to be. Nor do I claim that I ever be. But it's a mark I'm shooting for, and I'm shooting for a connection. High quality connections. It's in those little micro connections. It's in the micro connections. It's in those micro bids for attention that we give one another. I think it was John Goodman and his wife. I really like those people's research. Not to mention the Love Languages people's, those two books right there. But anyways, you know, it's something as simple as when your loved one walks in a room and you're within ear distance of them and you're talking to someone else, and they walk in the door and they shut the door and they just lean up against the door and they go, and then they just walk past you. And of course you keep talking to your friends or the people you're working with or whatever. And she just goes off and does whatever. And you never say, dang, what was going on? It's look like you got your ass kicked out there today. Are you okay? Do you need a hug? It's like you already know they need a hug. You don't even have to ask that. Just grab them and hold them and then start asking them, whisper some questions in their ear, what's going on. And just listen. Am I a professional at knowing what's listening? Because there's different kinds of listening. There's sometimes people want you. They're sharing what they're saying because they want input. They're sharing what they're saying because they want direction, or they're just sharing to vent, and they don't need you to say not one word. They just need you to sit and absorb it. Do I know which one's which all the time? No. Do I catch the ball every time? No. Is it even possible to have high quality connections with every single person you come in contact with? If you make eye contact with them, is that micro connection? Is it important? I got to roll it up. It's called, let's think of it. It's called the puppy rule of thumb. You know how there's certain dogs. You ever go to someone's house and they have a pet, a dog, that is just so freaking friendly and just so exciting. I mean, this son of a, oh my God. If you make eye contact with that dog, it's going to start jumping all over you. That is an overwhelming joy. That is like ultra super connection. Could you imagine If you could cultivate that kind of connection in people and in yourself, and I know, and what, right? I know, I don't know. I don't know where. That's where the sidewalk ends. I don't got any more. That's where I'm at on that. So, however, this is 45 minutes, 45 seconds right now. Bam, right there. That's a long speech. That's a lot of lottie-dottie-da, et cetera, et cetera. If you stuck with me this long, you're a real trooper. You know, life is so amazing. We are so amazing. It's so amazing. But you know, it's like, could you imagine how painful it would be to be stuck in a place where it's like you go through a battlefield growing up and you develop these coping mechanisms to where the underpinning subconscious criteria you got going on is basically you got this hit where love left without explanation, whether mother, father, or both, and where joy was swallowed up by silence, a deadly silence. That's another kind of scar. Post-traumatic stress disorder, the body remembers what the mind cannot bear. Let's look at that for a minute, how we do each other in those kind of toxic situations. That coldness, that silence, that they call it shutting down or stonewalling. Yeah, that's it. Stonewalling is what they call it. You know, it's just a childish way of hurting one another. Because if you were doing it just because you needed some quiet time, you'd be like, hey, I need some quiet time. I'm not going to be talked to you for the next X amount of minutes or an hour or so, and I'm not going to talk to you. That's the quiet time I need. See, that's what differentiates it. But silent treatment, it's no warning shot. So anyways, I can almost guarantee you every human being on the face of the earth that within a certain degree is been harmed by these things, scarred by these things, and have to develop certain coping mechanisms to override these things. And we are also 100% guilty of doing these things to other people, because the very coping mechanisms we do to compensate for these things actually perpetuates that onto the people that we love. It perpetuates it onto our children. It perpetuates it onto our women. See that, Luke? Yep. As the old saying goes, it's a long day in school. Have a good one. See you in the funny papers.